Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for being here for a video. I'm going to be testing some precious metals. Test kit that I have. This one does not rely on any particular color change on a cotton swab of any sort. I am wearing gloves. It's a good thing to wear gloves because this will burn your hands. It's not exactly painful, but it will turn them yellow. If you're new to the channel, I hope you enjoy looking at jewelry as much as we do here. I often hunt for it at thrift stores, garage sales, estate sales, and the like. And of course, we all love those jewelry unjarrings, jewelry unbaggings, jewelry hauls. So stay tuned for those videos. Everything from platinum to 22, and then these are identical. These are 18. Then we go on to 14 and 10, and both of these are 14. Here's the 14 karat and the 18 karat. 18, 14, 10, 2 sterling. The sterling silver often turns dark. That's why a lot of times it's hard to read it. And by read it, I mean it will fade away a non-sterling scratch. Whereas if I use 18 karat to test sterling silver, it will turn it blue right on the tray. And that's how you know it's sterling. If it isn't, it will not do that, and it'll start eating it away. And that's what it does. It does not turn blue if you're testing 18 karat gold. It will actually just keep the scratch and not let it fade away. All right, so let's start with some sterling silver. This is a beautiful ring. It is marked 925. Do not take any marks for granted. That means absolutely nothing. As I always say, trust but verify. And these days I've been saying don't trust. Don't trust. Don't trust no man. Or woman for that matter. Not when it comes to testing precious metals. All right, so we're going to do a scratch. People have also asked me if it damages the item. You might be able to see a tiny little scratch, but what will damage it is if you get acid on the item itself. Do not let the acid get on the jewelry. I do a little scratch. I don't do it teeny tiny. I do it kind of long, and you can often tell just by the scratch alone pretty much if it starts scratching smoothly, very chalky, but not breaking off into flakes or anything like that. So this is the 925. I'm going to test it with 18 karat gold acid so that you can see how it's going to turn it blue. See the blue color there? Now if I do that same ring with the acid for sterling, it will keep it from getting eaten away, but it will not turn it blue. And it's a little harder to see it because this acid seems to turn dark. Doesn't mean it's not any good. A lot of people think that, but sometimes they're fresh and they still turn this color, so that's why it's hard to read. They're still working, it's just a little harder to see it. Okay, we're going to do another scratch with the same ring, but we're going to test it with the sterling acid. And as you can see, every time I scratch it, I do wear away a little bit of the band. So be careful. You don't want to do it at the front or something like that. You want to be discreet with it, but it's not going to permanently damage it. And as Dr. Lori once said, even polishing your silver wears away a little bit of the silver every time you polish it. That's just the nature of the element. All right, so let's do it with sterling and see what happens with that. See how it's much harder to read it? You can see that it's still there up at the top. The remnants of silver are still there, but it's so much harder to read it. And as I said, some people have another acid that they wipe it and it turns the cotton ball red. But since I use the 18 karat gold acid to test sterling, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to do a test of not sterling. This is not sterling. This is a beautiful ring. It is silver plate. Now we have a pretty clean slate here. We're going to do the non-sterling piece, and I can tell many times with the scratch of the non-sterling piece. First of all, it's starting to look a little brassy, and this one's actually got a fairly chalky scratch, but I can see immediately that it is actually kind of a brassy, coppery. It's probably a copper base. Dabble a little bit of the 18 karat on it up here. And that eats it immediately. Just eats it right up when it's not sterling. Whereas the sterling a minute ago, as you saw, turned it blue. This one starts eating it pretty quickly. Did not turn it blue at all. Yeah. Now we're going to do the same ring with the sterling and see what happens with the sterling acid on a non-sterling ring. It also starts to disintegrate the scratch really quickly. No doubt about it. It just goes every which way. Completely gone. So that's what it did with both the 18 karat and the sterling silver acid. Just disintegrated it. No change in color on the plate. Nothing on the cotton ball, because this is not the kind of test that I have. I have one that works on the plate alone. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. If you are, if you're learning something, please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. It's always a free subscription. It says subscribe right there. Click it and be sure and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Let's do some more sterling so you can have a good idea of what we are doing. This is a beautiful ring. I believe this was called a raspberry garnet. Okay, so we're going to do a double scratch here. I'll do 2 marks, and I will show you the difference of how one looks over the other with either the 18 karat gold acid or the sterling. And yeah, that one is staying. And then the 18 karat is just so much easier to read when it turns blue. Kind of bubbles up and then turns electric blue. If this is actually a clear acid, but for some reason the sterling silver acid turns brown really quickly and it's harder to read. But there is the same ring, and as you can see, that's why I used the blue acid, because yes, this one still has the scratch, but you can barely see it. And this one you can clearly see. Not only does it still have the scratch, it turns it blue, and you can see that it has remained. And that's what seems to happen with the silver acid. But I ordered the kit and it came with it. And then I ordered another, I think I ordered another 3 bottles, and I got this one too. But again, I rarely use the sterling. I rely on the 18 karat because it's just so much easier to see it. But the dark. Now I do believe they sell a white scratch plate that you can see some of this better with. So you might consider that as well. All right, let's go to gold. Let's go to gold and let's talk a little bit about the way I would work my way from 18 to 14 to 10 if I were to run into a piece of gold that is unmarked or that we would like to verify for accurate markings. Because again, people can mark things any which way they want. I can't tell you how many times I've been approached in a parking lot with a guy trying to sell me some 14 karat gold chains, and he'll pull out a lighter and act like burning gold will. Burning a gold tone chain is going to prove that it's gold. But, you know, there's a sucker born every minute, as they say. This ring here, and it was unmarked. and I had no idea what it was. Look at it and I would think, wow, it's a beautiful yellowy color. It's a beautiful yellow, deep, rich color. Quite a different color from this gold and this gold and this gold, because they are different golds. So we'll start with this one, and I'll say, well, let me start from the bottom up. I only have 10K. Anything lower than 10K, you're getting, already at 10K, you're getting more alloy than gold. Okay, it's 22 karat. 24 karat is pure gold. 22, you're putting a little bit of alloy, etc., etc. With 750, which is another term for, another marking for 18 karat gold. Okay, and 525 is 14. Let's start with the scratch on this one. And I'm going to make it a long, beautiful scratch. And no, I didn't make any permanent damage to my ring, as you can see there. All right, so I'm going to say, oh, well, let's see if it's 10K. We'll put some 10K. And the scratch is still there. And then I'll say, well, maybe it's actually 14. Let's try 14. Still holding that beautiful scratch. And I don't believe you have to let it sit for 5 minutes. I think that is not true. That's just what amateur jewelry salespeople will tell you. But, and I'm not a professional jewelry salesperson, but I am a professional seller. And I have sold to pawn shops, I have sold to gold brokers, and I have seen their practices. And they do not let it sit for 5 minutes to verify. Some of them don't even use acid tests anymore, but I have seen them use acid tests. All right, so it is holding it nice. Let's go to 14. $14 is also holding it quite nicely, bleeding into the other one, but it is still holding its own there. And finally, we will go to 18. And I'll try not to get it to bleed, but you never know what's going to happen. Pop that bubble. All right, and it is holding the 18 as well. Indeed, 18 karat gold. And yes, I know my ring is 18 karat gold. Can do another scratch all by itself over here. Same beautiful ring with the ruby, cabochon ruby. And I'll do a solo scratch right here. I hope you can see how it looks kind of chalky even. So we're going to do another one of 18. Just to make sure you see what I'm doing. 18 karat. And there it is. And it holds it quite nicely. Now we're going to do one that is not 18 karat. All right, so very clearly a beautiful 18 karat, a wonderful 18 karat gold ruby cabochon. I'm going to wipe these away. It's marked 10K. I'm going to check to see if it's 10K. Funny, the scratch feels a little different. It really does. I'll put 3 scratches on here and see what happens. Work our way down from the top. We'll go to 18 karat. 18 karat will start. Followed by 14. Eating up the 18 quickly. This is the 14. Seems to be it's holding it a little longer, but it's disintegrating it nonetheless. And then finally 10 karat. Oops, that was a lot of acid on that one. And 10 karat is clearly the winner here. Clearly, it only held the 10K. So that is that. It is a beautiful ring I've had for many years. And it is marked 10K. It's a gift from my mother. I absolutely love this signet ring. All right, let's do an alpaca. Alpaca is often mistaken and often signed 925. Just because it says Mexico and someone has led you to believe that all Mexican jewelry is equal and that they tested or they thought it looked like it and so forth, again, trust no one. Verify. Make sure they verify. And if they say they test, ask them how they test. Because some people think just wiping it with a polishing cloth is a test. Some people think that their ego and their reputation is enough. And it is not enough. So make sure you know what people are doing. All right, let's do alpaca and then we'll go back to gold. Okay, this one is marked Mexico, clearly 925. Sometimes these are marked alpaca and they're beautiful bracelets nonetheless. So I don't see why people, companies, businesses, whatever they are, they are unscrupulous. Many are. So just know that. And this one also comes off kind of scratchy, like really looks like sterling. Let's test it and see what the 18 karat acid says. Doesn't look as gold or bronzy as the other one did. Being silver, it's very like silvery color, but it ate it right up. No blue for me. No blue for you. No, it just ate it right up. Again, that's what the 18 karat gold acid used for testing sterling because it's easier to verify that way. So that's the alpaca. Okay, we're going to test a unmarked, unsigned Native American. We're going to test 3 new here. Many times you will find these old, unsigned Native American pieces. They are my favorite. I don't need somebody's name on them unless it's a Loloma or something, somebody really famous. But I appreciate the artistry regardless, and I also believe that this is sterling. I know the person that sold it to me is reputable beyond measure. But I still test anyway, because as I said, trust no one. With the 18 karat gold acid, which is right here. And it has clearly turned it a beautiful blue color. Larimar has a nice chalky scratch on it. Just purchased this. It is blue and it is sterling. Okay, this one is sterling, I believe, and the stone is the one that was unclear. All right, so we're going to do 18 karat on this. And all of these turned out to be sterling. So that's good to know. I believe this is a glass stone, but it is sterling, and I'm very happy with that ring as well. Here is a ring. Again, nothing happening on the cotton ball with this test. So you will see other people testing with other kinds of acid kits, and they will show you a cotton ball that turns red. Mine does not do that, even with the sterling, even with the 18 karat. And then they even give you some kind of a story like it turned really, really red. Okay, that means absolutely nothing to me, but maybe it does to you. We're going to do a white gold. A white metal is a white metal because of its alloy, but it's also gold. This is actually 18 karat gold. So let's scratch it. The camera's shaking. And the scratch actually looks a little almost like the white gold itself. White gold is not as white as sterling. It really has more of a more subdued color of silvery, of white metal. All right, so we're gonna do 18 karat on that one. And it should not eat it away. And it actually does look golden when you scratch it. So there it is. Still there. Still there quite clearly. That's 18 karat gold. I don't know what else to test for you other than something I don't have. I don't have any platinum or 22 karat. Beautiful cross. All right, that's my 18 karat gold cross. Now I could test it for 22 because I remember when I bought it, they sold me the chain with it that was 22, and I don't remember if they said the cross was, and the cross is unmarked, if the cross was 22 or 18. So let's see. It's holding the 18 quite nicely. And I believe it is eating a little bit of that 22 away. Let's try it all by itself, just with the 22. Sorry for shaking the camera. Probably making you dizzy. Yeah, let's see what 22 does all by itself. And that is an unmarked cross. So it could possibly be 22 as well. And it is extremely yellow, even more so than this one. So what do you think? Interesting the color differences, isn't it? Very different colors. What do you think? I think it's holding the 18 and dissolving the 22. I think it is indeed 18. Let me just give you a tip on how to test small beads. Sometimes you'll see these that are spaced with beads, and you wonder, how am I going to scratch that on there with those beads? I can't reach in there. I'm going to scratch the toe. I love this necklace. I'm just looking at my things again. And so what I do to get into the beads, instead of taking the necklace and trying to reach into that tiny little thing there and bead ball, what I do is bring the block to the bead instead of vice versa. Pick up the block, pick a corner, and I fold into the area where the bead is, and then I scratch it this way. Try to make it a long one. And see, I'm just touching the bead. Myself a pretty good scratch. Could possibly, when you apply pressure down, you get a better scratch, of course, but we don't want to. This is fantastic turquoise. I'm just looking at the beautiful pyrite in the matrix there. Can you see that? Isn't that amazing? I love it. All right, so I think the caliber of this turquoise is telling me this has to be sterling. It just has to be. It's also got a vintage looking hook. That's another indicator. And I could easily rub these as well. But let's do that one that I did real quick. And then I'll rub these over here on the tray itself in the center. I'll do these over here. And we got a little scratch there too. All right, so much deeper scratch than this one, yes. But the acid will still penetrate and tell us the story. So let's see what it tells us on the bead over here. Definitely turning blue there. Can you see that? It's a faint scratch, but it's still very clearly blue. very clearly blue. Now we'll do this one. That gave us a much better scratch, but it wasn't so hard to reach it, right? But that's just a way to do it sometimes when you don't have access, all the access that you would like. Sometimes we have to do what we have to do. So it appears that these at the end, the long ones, may not be sterling. According to their scratch, they did not turn blue. Only the little one did. See that? These disappeared. So we're going to retest. Only the small beads appear to be sterling. So I'll get a better scratch on these than I did on the ones in the middle, even though the one in the middle is still blue. Sometimes things are not as they appear. Sometimes even the most seasoned collector, seasoned seller and reseller has to realize that people use what they had. And someone wanted to finish off this necklace with those long beads, and those beads were very likely alpaca or base metal. All right, on those little beads, they think they worked their way. I think they ran out of sterling beads. They're not turning blue on me. That's very interesting, right? They just filled in with what they had. And that's what happened there, because the ones in the center clearly were sterling. These towards the end are not. Let's see if the hook is sterling. No, this one doesn't even scratch like sterling. No. No, the hook is not sterling. You can see that some of these beads really look patinaed and are therefore the sterling beads, and some are not. Towards the end, see how these look very patinaed, and these are not. So I think they finished off with base metal, and it's still a fabulous necklace. I still absolutely adore it. I probably won't sell this ever, so I'm not too concerned about it. It is my personal property. Now, I also have a whole video on turquoise. I'll link it at this video either in the comment section or in the end cards where you can click. So that was quite interesting with that turquoise, wasn't it? I learned something today for sure. I think I really love that about jewelry and making these videos, is that I learned something, and I hope you did. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Consider joining the channel to support its content here. It's a minimal fee for the month. You do get perks with that when you purchase from me over at my Facebook auctions. I do have auctions on Facebook and on Whatnot. Do not sell here on YouTube. But if you ever see anything in a video of interest, don't hesitate to email me and we can do a transaction that way. But I don't hold auctions or anything here on YouTube. Subscriptions here are always free. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications so you never miss another video. It was my pleasure to bring this to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.